Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Tiny Stockings Bear on Rocking Horse? Teddy Bear on Rocking Horse is too long. This guy. So, my friend John came over and he was looking at them. And he liked the cat at first, and then when I told him I'd already done it, he was like, "Oh, it has to be a new one." You know, whatever. And he kept looking and he's like, "Oh, no one's asked for this one before. It's a bear on a horse." And I was like, how is that Christmas themed? A bear on a horse? And so he was over at our dining room table and I was here. So like, as I was walking over to look at it, I was like, is John on crack? Like, what did he see? A bear on a horse? Like, what? And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, yeah, a teddy bear on a rocking horse. That makes a lot more sense. So, oops. I've printed out the pattern because I have decided with these that trying to get them on my iPad and marking them off with like the paint tool, essentially, you know, the editing tool, is very frustrating because like I will think that the point of my finger when I touch the screen is here, but sometimes it's actually here or sometimes it's here. Like, I have tiny baby hands and tiny fingers, but it's still not always precise enough. So back to the good old highlighter route. I moved those. There we go. So, yeah. Sorry. I am on, I think it's Captain's Fury for Codex Alera. Is that the book that I'm on? Yeah, so the first one is Furies of Calderon. Next one is Academ's Fury. Next one is Cursor's Fury. I am on Captain's Fury. So I'm on the 4th out of 6 books. And I am like, I know there were a couple times, especially with the cats, because I had it in different places where sometimes you could see me reacting, and dude, it's been so good. David and I still have the flu, so, you know, neither of us are sleeping great. That's why I keep yawning. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go cross stitch and stop talking. All right, Devoted. What are we talking about?
I gave you the list. You didn't pick one.
What's the order? What did we watch last? Or
least recently?
Yes, that.
Daredevil or The Boys, I believe.
Daredevil. We watched Daredevil before The Boys.
Okay, then it's Daredevil.
We watched season 1 of Daredevil.
This is true, yes.
That's all that I've seen. So the best part about this, you guys, was at the beginning of our relationship. I mean, like, okay, we started dating November. It was December and January when we were watching Daredevil. And we watched like 6, 7, 8 episodes.
Maybe less.
Maybe less. And I was super into it. But for whatever reason, we didn't finish it. And then recently, I don't know if it was even one of us, or if it was a friend, somebody was mentioning the Marvel TV shows. And I was like, I want to finish Daredevil. And now we finished the first season. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm very grateful that I have watched it. And now David gets to do his spiel. Go, honey, go. Do your job.
So Daredevil, for those who haven't seen it, is a Marvel Netflix superhero. Well, it was Netflix, now it's on Disney Plus, which is a bit weird, but we'll get into that. It was basically the first thing that actually... This was before Disney had Marvel and was doing all the crazy stuff it is now. And it was kind of the first, like, wow, this is actually a good superhero show in, like, a long time. Maybe ever, arguably. At least in a lot of ways. It focuses on Daredevil, who is Matthew Murdock, who is a blind kid who becomes a lawyer, who also is a superhero because he was trained by a ninja to be a not more of a warrior, but, and so he can, like, hear heartbeats and crazy stuff like that, and use that to fight the fight against much more mundane evil, at least in the first season, which is, I think, part of why it did so well, because it's just, a gangster who's, like, taking over the city. But at the same time, well, it's not really a gangster, but either way, it's just a really good show, because it's got really good characters with really good arcs. Daredevil himself is fun and very well acted. Matthew Murdock, or whoever played Matthew Murdock, nailed it. I can't remember his name, but
I don't know his name, but yeah, no, he was awesome.
And that's why I'm happy to see him in the recent Spider-Man movie as a brief cameo. And they claim they will be bringing him back for a show and or movie. I forget which one it is.
Ooh, that'll be cool.
But the other two supporting characters, Foggy and Karen, or whatever her name was, I don't remember, the love interest, will not be returning, which is a shame, because they were, well, especially Foggy was, like, amazing.
Yeah, Foggy's my favorite.
He nailed that role, and so that's a really sad thing to hear, because he was excellent, and a big part of why that show even works, because there's a lot of very important scenes that involve him putting in good work, and he does. So I don't know what he's done since then. I hope he still has stuff he's getting, because, again,
he was great.
Yeah. So, and then Vincent D'Onofrio, or whatever his name is, I can't do names, plays the Kingpin, who is the main villain, who is excellent as well. Like, it's a very good show, because it's an origin story for two characters of a sort, but one, it doesn't overdo the origin part, and then two, it's both Kingpin and Daredevil, and that makes Kingpin very, very interesting, and again, incredibly well acted. D'Onofrio has done a lot of big movies, and so he knocked this out of the park. It's why it's such a shame that his brief cameo in Hawkeye was fun to see him back, but, like, not anywhere near his talent.
Yeah, it was so brief. It was very sad.
Yeah, and it was much simpler and kind of bumbly.
I mean, he got, hit by a car and immediately stood up? Like, he was still himself, at least.
Yeah, but he didn't, like, get to show off his acting chops again,
No, he was hit by a car through a door of an establishment?
Something
or
like
glass
that.
window, whatever. Like, it was just... A normal person would probably get incredibly injured or even die from it.
This is
and
true.
he just stood up like it was whatever, because he's Kingpin.
And yeah, so
and he's not, like, magical or mystical. He's just freaking huge. And built.
Yeah, he's built is the idea.
He's, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not fat. Fat is not the word I'm looking for. You're strong and you're huge. Stout is not the word. There is a word.
Well, Liz thinks about that. He's basically like a bodybuilder is the idea. Or not a
Well,
bodybuilder,
no.
a strongman from, like, one of the strongman competitions.
But no, he's actually a strong person. Because, like, when you look at people who, try to have a great physique, they tend to not be very strong. Because when you actually build muscle, you end up looking kind of fat.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Like the strongmen from the strongman competitions, yes.
Okay, I misunderstood you then.
Okay.
I'm still trying to think of the word I'm looking for.
While she does that, though.
Dense. He's dense.
He's dense. Okay.
I don't know if that was the word I actually wanted, but
it's
dense. Working right now.
Okay. So yeah, it's a very compelling show because they do a really, really good job with all the characters and making them feel
real.
Yeah, basically real.
And I felt super bad for Kingpin. Like, they made him sympathetic, but also still made me hate him at other times.
Yeah.
Like, they handled him perfectly in my mind.
And it's just, that's a big part of why it's so good. And again, they did a really good job building him up. Because, like, people in the beginning of the show won't say his name.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, one person finally says his name and then immediately kills himself violently. Which is why this is a bit weird to be on Disney+, because since it was originally made for Netflix and aiming for a slightly higher or older audience, it's quite violent for a Marvel thing. By quite violent, I mean it's just really violent for brief moments. There's, like, bones, and, again, the guy who kills himself, it is not a pretty scene. And yeah, it's really, really not cool, but like it's nice to see something that's just trying to tell a more adult-aimed story rather than just person saves world and has heartwarming events while they do that. So, yeah, I don't know. Did I lose you?
No, you're doing your spiel. It is your turn.
Oh, I see. So yeah, overall, I love that. I love the first season. The second season is very weak, and the third season is, I seem to recall thinking it was okay. It's even more depressing that they squandered such excellent, they managed to make it feel grounded, and so unfortunately part of the problem they always have with grounded superhero stories is the actual plots from the comics are not grounded in the slightest. And so as they start diving into some of those plots, they have the problem that everyone before them has, which is like, how do you take this nonsense and make it good? And unlike Disney, who has so far been really, really good at kind of cleaning up the Marvel nonsense into like, yeah, that was actually a good story. I know the story that's based on, and it's freaking wacky. Like, the whole Thanos arc would have been insane if they went with his original motivation. And so they sort of screw up the later seasons because they're like just kind of following the comics and not doing enough to like clean it up. And also on top of that, one of the things that really made Marvel Daredevil good is they open with two incredibly well done fight scenes. One's an homage to the hallway scene from Oldboy, which we've talked about already before.
Yeah, we have.
And one is a just really well choreographed fight scene. You know, they're not shaky camming, they're not cutting left, right, and sideways. Like, it's two talented stuntmen doing their job.
I feel like the majority, or at least of season 1, was really good
yes,
fights.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But they even opened with that, and I was like, oh, they actually put some effort into this. Because I'm so, like, at the time I had been watching, I believe, some of Arrow or something, and Arrow is just, like, to be fair, it's much lower budget. So they don't have the budget to get choreographed martial artists to go on the show and do cool things. So it's just him rolling and them cutting the camera 35 times. So having Daredevil flip around and fight people and do really cool, like, creative fights that are also just cinematography-wise, like, really well done, like the hallway, was really, really cool. And then...
Wait, so you were surprised they did that in episode 1?
Episode 1 or 2.
I see, and I feel like that's where you're going to blow your budget, is on the first
My
one,
point
to
is
try
that
and get the
fact that
majority
they
of
did it at all.
the audience, and then by the time you get to the end is when it's going to be all choppy and not as good. But they kept it the whole way through.
I mean, it's... The point being that they did it at all is, like, what I'm talking about. Because so many shows just don't even bother. Like, that is a criticism I have of Disney Marvel, which is that they have the money to get really, really good people for this.
And they just cut and cut and cut.
Yeah, I feel like they've maybe put effort... Like, again, sometimes you get these actors, and it's like, well, I need an the actor can only do so much, and you can't always get a stunt person for certain scenes, and yada, yada, yada. So you just start hiding it with lousy editing. But yeah, I think Shang-Chi...
Film it from a different angle, bruh.
Yeah, I wish they would, but again, that's harder to do, and costs more money, and blah, 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 blah. So yeah.
It'll look better.
It would, but people don't care. So, I'm over here complaining about it. But either way, Daredevil was really, really cool because of that. And then, unfortunately, in Season 2 and 3, they did not do nearly as good a job with the fight scenes. Some of them are still good, but none of them are like, I can remember exactly what happened, like the main two I can think of in the first season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and it also helps that, like, the villains in Season 1 are all interesting and all at odds with each other as well. Like, it's an uneasy alliance of these various people, the Russians, the Chinese, the Japanese, and then... Kingpin. I feel like there's kind of another in that Owlsley is there as, like, the finance guy, but he doesn't really have his own group of henchmen. He's just part of that little cabal. But they all, don't trust each other and whatnot, and are all evil and whatnot. So it's just very interesting seeing them playing off each other as well. Oh, I can't believe I forgot. One of the best things about the show. Part of the reason Kingpin's so interesting is because his wife, or rather his love interest is introduced, and she's super interesting as well, and also very, very, very well acted, and a really good character. Like, it's a thing I could have seen them screwing up easily, but they managed to nail the idea that, like, she knows what she's getting into.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know? She's not, like, she literally has a speech about it, how she's like, I'm not an idiot, you know, I brought a gun on a date because, you know, I know what I'm getting myself into, but at the same time, like, it's not just a power-hungry like, they don't do it, I feel like they do in so many other shows where she'd just be power-hungry too, or, you know,
oh, yeah, no, she actually fell for him.
Yeah,
or at least I 100% believe she did.
No, I believe it's even part of the comics, is that, yeah, they're, well, heck, it's even in,
Into the Spider-Verse?
Into the Spider-Verse, yeah, that, like, they have a real connection and, like, true love and whatnot, even though they're both, well, he especially is quite evil, and she, I don't know how evil she is in the comics, I have no idea, but point...
In the show, at least she's ambivalent?
Well, she's, I would say, from
Implicit?
her, she would probably describe herself as pragmatic, but yeah, you know, like, this is the way the world is, and this, he's passionate. It just, it's a really good romance, and it's better than the romance for the other characters, honestly, even though those are okay.
No, I liked Foggy and what's her name?
Karen, or the...
No, the other girl. The ex.
Yeah.
I loved them. At first I was like, no, Foggy, you deserve better.
Yes.
And then they interacted and I was like, no, you love each other, you're perfect together.
Yes.
Work it out.
Yes. And that was also very fun and very well done. And there's more of them in the other shows if we watch the other shows.
See, and I want to.
Jessica Jones is supposed to be next. And then...
Cage?
I think it's Daredevil Season 2, and then Punisher, and then maybe we'll do Cage.
Oh, Punisher was before. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I don't know. I wasn't watching.
My point is, like, Luke Cage is probably...
I heard good things about Season 1, at least. No? No, the one I heard bad things about was the white guy doing Kung Fu.
Iron Fist, yes.
Iron Fist. That was the one, I never heard anything good about that one.
I recently had people saying, or I was chatting with people online, and someone said it's underrated, and I'm like, no, it's not. There's no way you could underrate that. It's some of the worst TV I've ever put myself through, but...
I haven't seen it, so I have zero opinions.
Yeah, no, Luke Cage is 50% incredible show and 50% what the hell happened. Like, what...
Oh, yeah, that's the one where you said they just went off the rails.
Yeah, like, they have so many good performances, good concepts, good ideas, and all of it, it's like the writers all quit, and they were like, well, we'll have Rock'em Sock'em robots and super bullets, and that'll solve this. And again, I don't know if that's getting stuck in the, well, this is what the comics did, so I guess we'll stick with that problem, where it's like, how do we make this make any sense, you know, because it's difficult. Liz is admonishing me.
I'm not admonishing you. I'm writing it down so I know to blurt that out. Is that the word I'm looking for? Bleep it out? I just cut it out. I just get rid of the bad words.
That too.
So, I just don't want to get in trouble, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I am listening to the YouTube gods. They don't want the curse words.
Yep.
My channel is not for children, but, you know, I still try to make it so if they repeat words individually, it won't be a problem. However, if they listen to some of our reviews of the shows we've watched and they repeat whole things, they will grow up and be like, whoa, she traumatized me. I should not have listened to her talk about Made in Abyss.
Yeah, amongst many other things.
I feel like that's the worst one. No?
I mean, Old Boy's not exactly friendly.
True. But at least it's not children.
Yeah. Well. Anyways, so yeah,
okay, we only have, like, less than 2 minutes left. We should keep talking about Daredevil.
You sure you don't want me to bash out Glass Onion?
Shut up. You need to stop doing this to me. We do not squish one thing into the last 2 minutes.
But it's Glass Onion.
No, we're going to complain about that movie a lot.
Okay.
So much. So many complaints in another video.
Another video, okay. I am sad to see where Daredevil started something that could have been really impressive, which is like a slightly older... Because like comic books themselves are aimed at, honestly, usually an older audience, like teenagers to adults, not just kids.
I was going to say teenagers and up.
And so it was nice to see something that was finally doing that in the movie and TV space, because a lot of them don't. Like Blade did, and it did very well.
Oh, Blade
and then
was
that
so
went
good.
off a cliff.
I've only seen the first one. It was so good.
And most of the others are very, they're always towing the line. And again, there's this, like, I would love to see Disney take a crack at doing that again, although I'm sure they won't, because I think they seem to have writers who understand how to sanify the wacky comic book plots. And it would be neat to see them take a stab at, some of these more serious plot lines and concepts and darker things, and getting to see things like Moon Knight done a little bit better. Like, not that it was bad, but like...
I liked Moon Knight.
Yeah, but the comic is incredibly violent, among other things, and so they can't touch on that subject material as easily. So they have to kind of sanitize it, and it would be nice to see that, and that's what I was kind of hoping for when I saw Daredevil. I was like, oh, this is not only doing well, but it's seriously well acted, and it's, maybe going to start getting us more of these shows. And it led to Jessica Jones, which is also incredible.
Yeah, I've heard at least season 1 is super dark.
Yeah, season 1 is very good in my opinion, except for the end. They had a problem with that too, where they're like, it's like this should have been 8 episodes, not 13, but whatever. So they just shove in like 4 episodes of, what are we doing here? What is this? Why am I on a B plot? We were just at the climax.
Man, I thought you were about to say, why am I on a boat? And I was like, that's random, but okay.
No,
I'm on a boat!
And then at the end of it all, it kind of imploded because Netflix is Netflix and they can't manage their projects. And now Disney's going to do something with it. I hope they do it justice. I'm a little concerned hearing that Foggy's not back, especially because, like...
He was my favorite.
Yeah, and the actress who played Karen did good. It's just that's a hard role.
I did love her. I actually really liked her with Foggy.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen. And then... Did they try to push her with Matt Murdock?
Yes, that is the thing.
I didn't feel that way. I mean, I did at first. At the start, I really did. I really liked them. But then when Foggy got in, I was like, oh no, Foggy is clearly the better person between the two of them. Pick Foggy. But I like him more with his ex. Yeah, I don't know. She's a great actress. I really loved her in True Blood, actually. Alright, so... One thing we get to discuss now, it's at the end of the video, so it's fine. We learned today that David does not know the song Wanna Be Starting Something by Michael Jackson. The only part of the song he knew was the Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa. And his mom was there. And she just sent me an article titled The Meaning of the Lyric Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa. The phrase has been used a few times in popular music over the years... Blah, blah, blah. Many would assume, based on the widespread fame of Michael Jackson, that Rihanna borrowed the line from Michael Jackson. This may be true. However, Michael Jackson borrowed Mama Say Mama Sa blah, blah, from the Cameroonian Afro-funk artist Manu Dibango's song Sul Makusa, released in 1972. It's Makusa, I'm sorry. I haven't seen it spelled before, I've only heard it sung. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Even once credited the artist for inspiration. Fit better. Okay, this isn't... No, I don't know you. I'm not answering that number. There's nothing that suggests any real meaning to the phrase. Really?
Welcome to the internet.
However, in the Cameroonian language of Douala, Makusa translates roughly to dance, which is exactly what all 3 songs want you to do. Perhaps Jackson's embellishment to the longer phrase was just for artistic purposes. Okay. Well, we all learned something today.
Did we?
That part of the Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa, part of that means dance, and you didn't know that song. Yes, we've all learned something today.
I didn't know that song before it was cool.
Honey, it's always been cool. It's Michael Jackson. It was on the Thriller CD. It's always been cool.
Which I haven't listened to, as we've all discovered today.
I am so disappointed in you. We're ending on that note. And that is the end of Bear on Rocking Horse. I got 2 hours and 29 minutes of footage, which seems ridiculously low because I started at like 10 and it's 6 p.m. now. I took a lot of breaks. So, there it is. It's super weird to me that the bear was made of half stitches, but that's what the pattern says. Like, that is the only symbol on there that specifically says is made of half stitches. So, I don't know. Like, it doesn't look as weird now as it did while I was working, but it's still, like, I can tell it's just half stitches. I don't know. But this should be the last of them. I will finally get to start making them into ornaments. Eventually. I just have to find the mat board that I had before. Or something equivalent that is also thin and hard enough to keep its shape. Wish me luck. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys next video.